The Global Talent Company, what does it actually do?
Our mission is to kind of connect talent and opportunities, because we believe no matter where you are in the world, you should have access to great opportunities. Even the best talent needs someone to hold their hands. We do a lot of that upfront training to kind of give people a fair chance to succeed.
David, based in Costa Rica, he had never had opportunities to work with technology startup. He joined our team, he worked with us, and he's had the opportunity now to work with many major Silicon Valley brands.
If you have something that's better quality, cheaper, quicker, and you don't have to worry about it, like there's no reason not to do it. And I think that's how we try to position this.
Hello there, I am Kirsty Lang. I'm a marketer and podcaster working remotely out of Cape Town, South Africa, which is relevant today because I am speaking with the Global Talent Company founders, Kirsch and Brett Stapfer, who I have been working with behind the scenes for a few months on a very exciting project that we are finally ready to shine the spotlight on today. So that is, of course, the Global Talent Company is the project that I'm talking about, or TGTC, as we lovingly call her. The Global Talent Company aims to help marketers based in South Africa find their dream remote jobs at tech companies all over the world, and vice versa, help connect these fantastic companies with the wealth of talent we have in South Africa. Now we are lifting the veil, so to speak. TGTC is not really new. Brett, Roman, and the growing team have been hard at work for over a year now, and they have just passed a pretty important milestone that is helping 100 people get hired through the platform, which is wild to me. That's a lot of people. Some context on me, if you're wondering what the heck I'm doing here. I am the host of a podcast called SA Tech Marketers, an initiative spearheaded by the Global Talent Company, both as a tool for helping spotlight SA talent and upskilling up-and-coming talent in the region. So when Brett first reached out to me on LinkedIn a few months back, my first reaction was, where the heck was this company when I was trying to find my remote role? Because I've been working remotely in tech for around 5 years now, and it was an uphill battle finding my job. But it has absolutely changed my life, and it's really exciting for me to help my South African peers find opportunities like the ones I've been fortunate enough to find myself. So I would love to start with an intro from both of you. Brett, would you lead us in? Who are you? How did you come to be in this virtual studio today?
Thanks, Kirsty. So who am I? That's a big question and a lot to unpack there, but let's focus on the last 10 years. So 10 years ago, I founded a PR firm called Frontlines, and I've really just spent the last decade now working very closely with founders and marketing leaders to build and execute communications programs. Through this work, I've worked with about 500 different startups. I've really seen behind the scenes what works and what doesn't work. On top of that, I've spent the last 3 years hosting podcasts. So I've done about 700 interviews to date. All of them have been with venture-backed B2B technology founders. About 50 of them have been with founders who built billion-dollar-plus companies. Now, in these interviews, I'm asking them about their go-to-market strategies, their marketing strategies, and then, of course, about how they've approached building their marketing teams. Now, all of these experiences together have really contributed to how I think about and how I approach both marketing and marketing team building. With Frontlines, the company has evolved now into a full-on production studio. We host and produce about 20 of our own shows, and then we also do it as a service for 80 different brands. Now, when we look at Frontlines, there is a secret weapon there, and that secret weapon is our talent. Our team is based in Argentina and South Africa, and that's really the entire team. So everything that we produce, everything that we do is really powered by global talent, and I've just seen firsthand how amazing global talent really is and the power that it can have for a company.
Okay, Roman, over to you. If you can give us
Cool.
a story.
Yeah, so I come from a very different world. So first of all, geographically, Brett is San Francisco based. I'm based in Berlin, Germany. And I come also from the consumer world. So I moved to Berlin when I was 23 with actually nothing in my pocket except super high student loan debts. And basically started my first company in the consumer world, which was a flash sales e-commerce website in the design space. And we got very lucky because we ended up selling the company after a year. You know, usually those journeys take 10 plus years. For us, we kind of sold the company after a year. And I got stuck with the entrepreneurial lifestyle. So I did 2 weeks of holidays in the Maldives and said, this is so boring. You know, I just want to create and do more things. And went back and started, a few more companies, first as an entrepreneur and CEO, and then via my own company studio. So what we do is we co-found companies, but we also invest in companies. And by now I've co-founded 8 companies. 2, 3 failed big time miserably, but obviously there's a few gems there that are worth a few $100 million. And one of the big learnings, and that's basically thanks to Brett, and we've been working for over 10 years, and we'll come back to that story how we met in a second, was how to leverage really global talent. Around the time of COVID, if you remember, there's been a shortage of great talent. No one wants to actually, or no one was able to move to Berlin, to London, to our offices, but we urgently needed people, and that's when we said, let's just try out remote work, and we ended up settling first for South Africa, same time zone. People are like quite fluent in English, better than me, and we just found this amazing talent, and I knew South Africa as a holiday destination. And, then basically said, what, there's something interesting there. And we ended up hiring also over 100 people with our own teams for our own companies in South Africa. And, but that was it for that, for another 3-4 years, until I kind of reconnected to Brad, convinced him to visit me for one of my annual trips to South Africa. And that's where we started brainstorming about great business ideas.
I love that. I could talk about South Africa and how fantastic the people are here for hours, but I'm going to kind of keep the conversation on track. I'm sure we'll get into that.
But I'll confirm a lot of it. I'll confirm a lot of it as a neutral person.
Okay, I'm definitely biased. I'm definitely biased as a South African person. But I would love to find out a little bit more about your origin story and how you guys met, because Brett's obviously based in San Francisco and Roman is based in the Maldives and Cape Town, and but mostly Berlin.
Mainly in Berlin.
How did you guys come to meet and start working together?
No, that's a very interesting and funny story, and it goes to say a lot about how how street smart and a good salesperson Brad is, because he reached out via LinkedIn to me exactly at the right point in time. Sometimes you kind of just have to believe in destiny, and I never respond to LinkedIn messages, probably like you, Kirsty, right? But because you get just dozens of hundreds, but that's back in the days, that was 2016. That's where it still kind of worked. And he basically sent out an email saying, what, we do PR as a service. You don't have to kind of spend a lot of money on us, no upfront fees. You just win when we just win when you win, basically. And that kind of resonated with me. By the way, that's exactly the same type of approach that we do with Global Talent Co as well. Nothing upfront, just very incentive aligned. But that resonated with me. Kind of started working with Brad and his team especially for communication strategy, PR around the world. Amazing success. And, the success was so great that Brad just said, next time you're going to China and Vietnam, that's where a lot of our manufacturers and supply sources were. And we had big teams there. Just ping me and I'll just come along. So said and done. Basically I said, okay, but it's already next week. He booked the flights, probably like a 30-hour flight from the US. And we had a good time in mainland China, Hong Kong, Vietnam. And that's kind of what created a strong bond, because we think about building companies in a very similar way. And then, it's been taking another 8 years to kind of find something where we kind of can shine together. But the seed was planted there.
I love that. That makes so much sense. And you've kind of perfectly segued us into my next question. I wanted to ask Brett for you. Let's go back to the Global Talent Company. Where did the idea come from? So we know obviously that Roman is a big fan of South Africa and South African talent, and you had also worked with South African talent. So how did this idea crystallize?
Back in 2023, Roman and I really decided we're going to build a company together. It was really just a matter of what was that company going to be. I think kind of life-wise, we were both at a really interesting point. On my side, I had spent the last 10 years building Frontlines, and that offering had become very productized, and it really just required less of my effort and time day to day. On Roman's side, he had been co-founding and investing in a lot of different brands, but he was also ready to go full-time into something and really go for something big here. And that's what really aligned us, is something big. We both wanted to build something big and something that really had impact and meaning. So Roman invited me out to Cape Town, South Africa for a week of just brainstorming different ideas. And our goal there at the end of that brainstorming session for that week was to walk away with an idea that we could go all in on. So we're talking about different ideas. And as we're doing that, we wanted to map out, like, what does the dream company look like for us? And there's a lot of different things there, but the two most important, one, remote. We both wanted to build remote companies. We both love remote. We've seen it work. And then second, global talent. It was not going to be reliant on local teams, local talent. We were going to rely on global talent, the same amazing talent that we had seen work in all of our different companies that we've been part of over the last 10 plus years. So that was the idea. And we were just brainstorming different opportunities, different business models, different businesses to pursue. One day we're sitting on the patio and I come out from a call and I just tell Roman, it's so annoying. We had been trying to build and set up an entity in Argentina so that we could pay our local employees there. And it was such a headache. It was such a nightmare. Roman shared another similar story. He had gone through the same pain in a different country, setting up an entity. And that just kind of like hit us. That was our aha, where we said, okay, we both have mastered finding amazing talent. We've both gone through the pain of how to pay that talent in a compliant way. What if that was the business? What if that was the solution that we bring to market? So that was the idea. Let's productize that. And that's what we've been now doing for the last year.
I love that. That's fantastic. I want to know more about the sitting on the patio in Cape Town. Maybe we can talk about that another time. Okay, coming back to the Global Talent Company in the form that it is now, what does it actually do? What is the mission of the company?
Yeah, let's maybe start high level and talk about our mission and what we actually aim to do. So our mission is to kind of connect talent and opportunities. So just coming from personal experience, let's talk about South Africa. So, when I was meeting entrepreneurs there, or generally marketing talent, there was, people are extremely well educated. They're very motivated to kind of leave a mark in the world. I'm very interested in all things tech, but there's just no or very limited local opportunities to work for tech companies. So not everyone can or doesn't want to, or doesn't need to kind of move to the US or another place to kind of fulfill that dream. And youth unemployment is also super high, right? So for me, I think it's around 40% for people who are not familiar with the South African market. So for me, that was kind of a win-win for everyone involved, because I always wanted to do something in my next company that has a positive impact and as a net positive. And that's what we actually started to do. So what we actually want to do is more than just matching that the South African, and then by now it's also Argentinian, Mexican, and other great places, talent with tech companies in Europe and the US. But we also want to create a platform where we do way more. So it starts with the training. So we onboard people. Even the best talent needs someone to hold their hands when it comes to the best practices of remote work. And Kirsty, you can probably also vouch for that.
No
how do I
how
communicate?
Productive you are.
Yeah,
exactly.
100%. How do I communicate? What kind of tools do I use? What are the wins and losses? So I think we do a lot of that upfront training to kind of give people a fair chance to succeed. We also filter out a lot of people, so we really go for the best of the best. But then it doesn't stop there. So once people are on the job, we kind of AI is obviously a big part to unlock more productivity, to unlock kind of greater work quality. It's about kind of training for the particular role. So be it graphic designers, where we kind of do training classes, be it kind of performance marketeers. And I think that just continues along the journey, so that the talent that starts with us also grows in their career and in the roles that they're having. So I think that's a really big part of what we do. So
okay, so we were going to talk a little bit about the deeper logistics of what the Global Talent Company does, because I think, and something that you've mentioned as well, is that yes, there aren't a lot of remote opportunities for folks working in South Africa because there is so much red tape. Brett, like as you found when you were trying to pay employees in Argentina. And I love that you guys are kind of trying to eliminate that as well, rather than just, oh, here's some great talent. Now you have to figure it out, right? And that comes with compliance. Am I right? I'm trying a segue here. Is it working?
Yes, 100%. Look, I think obviously what are the big things for companies that we try to solve? So challenge number one is kind of access to the talent, right? So it's not as easy of just putting up a job listing and then people will apply. So I think that's what we solve by building a community. So podcasts like the ones that you do, but also kind of doing meetups, kind of doing a lot of education. So I think embedding ourselves in the local communities is, I think, where we create value for tech companies and where we kind of can unlock and access really great talent. That's number one. Number two, what do tech companies care for next to the access to talent is everything 100%, compliant? Do we have to have kind of worry about things? Like there's a lot of headaches that go a long way, starting with, legal and liability risk in a country that you don't know anything about. Like, what do I think? Do I need to know about employment law? Countries like Argentina, you can't really, like the banking system, the financial system doesn't work. So, you can't just transfer in a bank account in US dollars. So all of those things really are a pain. No one really loves to think about that. And I think that's the pain that we take away out of the whole process by making sure that we kind of take care of all of this. And we can do that because we do that for dozens and hundreds of companies down the road. So it doesn't really make sense for a single company to kind of create all of those headaches. So that's kind of the second problem. And the third problem or the third challenge for tech companies next to the access to talent and the compliance part is, of course, also the cost factor. So, I think that's one of the big reasons next to the quality that companies decide to go global, because just living costs in different countries are lower. I can have the best steak in the world in South Africa for the equivalent of $5 and not for 500 like in San Francisco. So obviously also local salaries are somewhat lower. And I think kind of giving guidance of what you can, where to find amazing talent for a very reasonable cost that is reasonable for a tech company, but is at the top percentage of what talent locally would earn is, I think, where the win comes in for everyone involved.
Maybe there is a misconception that, you can get cheap labor from places. And that is not what you guys are doing as well, which is why I love the mission you are paying, as Roman mentioned, at the top percentile. So not only are South Africans getting access to just the job market is expanding, there are more jobs, right? You're also able to work from home, which comes with a huge cost reduction. Petrol is expensive in South Africa. Just the logistics of moving from your home to an office, leaving your children at home, having to sort out childcare, you're removing all of that. And I think that's a really important consideration as well. So yeah. I think that's fantastic, and that makes me happy.
Yeah, and Kirsty, just to add to that, because I think it's a really important point to make. If you're just looking for cheap talent, don't come to the Global Talent Co. Go to Fiverr, go to any of those other platforms that are focused on cheap. With Global Talent Co., there is a very critical services layer here where we're going out, we're finding the amazing talent, we're vetting the amazing talent, and then we're dealing with all the HR, the admin headaches. That's all on us. So if you want cheap, we are definitely not the place to go. If you want amazing talent at an affordable price with an amazing experience, Global Talent Co. is probably where you want to go.
I love that, because that also devalues the work of the people that you are hiring, right? And I perform at the same level as my American colleagues. And, and I think a lot of people are quite not surprised, but there is a misconception about, and you guys mentioned education as well. The education standard in South Africa and these places is incredible. And I can keep pace with as a South African marketer and sometimes exceed my colleagues and peers and teammates. So I think that is fantastic.
Just to add to that, Kirsty, so one of the things that we always get as feedback is, how do you make sure that the talent has the same quality standards as the one that we hire locally? And that's why we came up with a lot of those tests to start with. We do a lot of assessments that are automated in the very beginning. So people walk, through 20, 30, 40-minute type of tests that are very role specific. What we offer to the companies is we say, you know what, we'll just get, a few hundred candidates. They all do the test, and then you do the test internally with your local team. And we just suggest and recommend and shortlist the people that are better than your local team. They're not only more affordable and, you have all the other benefits, but they're also just, way better by objective testing standards. And that usually kind of kills the whole conversation about, people asking about, is it the same quality just because that person is in a different country?
Let's come back to big picture stuff. Roman, as an investor, you are obviously very familiar with the question, why now? So what is the Global Talent Company's why now? Why is now the right time?
That's one of my favorite questions, by the way. If you have a pitch of entrepreneurs, why now and what's the secret sauce? And you would be surprised, how few people can actually answer that question. I think for us, it's really quite simple. And I realized that firsthand when since COVID, that there's been a few mega trends that just play into this. Number one is kind of the whole rise of remote work, right? So post 2021, you have this emergence of tools where you can actually work remotely, not only in engineering and tech, where, remote work has been kind of the default for 10, 15 years, but also in other functions, especially in marketing, which is what we do, I feel like the marketing is kind of almost the second wave of working globally and remotely. And I think that's what's happening, number one. Number two is the other big trend, especially in industries that I've been involved with, consumer, e-commerce, as, post 2021, you had this big push to profitability especially for venture funded businesses. And before that, it was like, money is cheap, just raise whatever amount you want to have. You have zero interest rates. Take the money and run, basically, and shut up.
Time.
And yes, but that time is gone, and all of a sudden, entrepreneurs wake up and don't have the opportunity to tap funds, and really need to ask themselves, okay, where do I actually optimize on my costs? And think obviously you look into what do you need to do internally, but what are also the functions where you kind of go beyond your local zip code and actually go into different markets. And I think that's kind of the second big mega trend.
Okay, so when I am a bigwig and I found my own company in a couple of years, I'm going to come to you guys. I'm going to be a customer. How does it work? Walk me through the process.
Internally, we talk a lot about this idea of a machine. We want it to feel like our customers have just been sucked into a machine the moment they start working with the Global Talent Co. We want it to feel much more like technology. We want it to feel like software. We don't want it to feel like that traditional service provider experience. So how it actually works and what it looks like is our clients come to us and they say, here's my job description. And most importantly, here are the skills I want you to test before you even waste my time bringing me any candidates. We go to our network of over 25,000 people. We find them matches. We have them take those tests. The very, very best that make it through, that's who we deliver to the client. Our clients then go have their traditional interviews, follow the traditional interview process. Once they find their candidate, they give us the green light. That candidate joins their team just like any other full-time team member. The only difference is they stay on our payroll, not theirs. We have all of the HR admin headaches. We have all of the legal risk. We have all the compliance risk. All of that's with us. Our clients are just delivered a full-time team member who comes in ready to work. Now, to give you an example of what this looks like, there's a brand in New York City called Koyo. They're a direct-to-consumer footwear brand. They're one of our very first customers. Now, they came to us and they said, we need a graphic designer and we just can't afford New York prices. New York salaries are just out of control, insane. No startup can afford to pay those types of rates. So that's what we started with. We found them an amazing candidate in South Africa. They joined the team. A few weeks later, they come back and say, hey, we have a paid performance marketing role we've been trying to fill in New York. Same story, too expensive. Can you find anyone? Of course, we could. We've repeated that process now over and over again. They're less than a year in with us. And we've already provided over $500K in annual savings, and we expect that to grow as their marketing team scales. This is what happens with all of the customers that we have with Global Talent Co. They come in with one role, and then it's like a light bulb goes off, and they see that everything they were thinking about their staff overhead costs changes when you go global. So that's what we're obsessed with. We want to help our clients have that light bulb moment, have that aha, and take that Talent Search Global.
That's so cool. And of course, they have amazing talent on their team who I'm sure are performing exactly as their American colleagues are. Brett, you have talked a lot about category creation and positioning on all of the hundreds of podcasts that you have done. How do you think about the market category here?
The sexy answer here would be to say that we are creating a new category, but we're really just taking a fresh and different approach to an existing category that's been there for a very, very long time. So let's take a step back and let's talk about how we think about the competitive landscape. And a lot of this is through the eyes of our prospects and customers that we speak to all day long. Bucket one, it's going to be the platforms like Deal, like Remote. This is amazing technology. They're amazing platforms, but there's no services layer there. There's no one there to go and find the amazing talent. There's no one there to go through and sort through 1,000 applications and find the 5 people who are really good. There's no one there to manage the talent when there's any issues that do come up. That's what we're all about. It's a services layer there. It's not just technology. Bucket number 2 is going to be the Upworks of the world. Great platforms, but they're really best if you have, a single use case. You need a quick logo design. You need a quick change for your website. What we found is A, it's really hard to find actual good talent on those platforms. And B, all of the best talent does not want to be hustling, grinding away on Upwork, not sure where their next job is going to come from so they can provide for themselves and for their families. So we don't view Upwork, we don't view Fiverr. Those are not real competitors to what we're doing because they serve a very, very different purpose. Now, the third bucket of competitors, the one that actually keeps us up at night, and that bucket is the status quo. It's hiring locally in our clients' zip codes and their local markets and not taking their job search global. That's what we're really up against. If we look at the market, it's not the people who are using Upwork. It's the people who are sitting in San Francisco. They're sitting in Berlin. They're sitting in New York City, and they don't believe that there is amazing global talent out there. That's the market we're targeting. That's who we're after. And we have to really convince those folks there is amazing global talent, and we can actually help you find that amazing global talent.
All right. So I'm very excited about this portion of the show because I want to talk about the talent as a very biased person involved in this process. Tell me about the talent that you have found and how you work with them.
Talent is very broad. So let's talk about the roles that we don't help with. If you're looking for a CMO, if you're looking for a VP of marketing, if you're looking for a head of marketing, anything that's strategic, we're not the place to go. We're very focused on the roles that are heavy on execution and have a lot of tedious work involved. Think about roles like marketing managers, think about graphic designers, video editors, CRM managers, email marketing managers. Those are the types of roles that we're really focused on. One story that I like to share is with someone that I've worked with for a very long time. So his name is David. He's a graphic designer based in Costa Rica. Him and I started working together back at a previous startup. He was so good that I brought him with me when I founded Frontlines. He was actually the very first employee of Frontlines. Now, David, like I said, based in Costa Rica, he had never had opportunities to work with technology startups. He had never had the opportunity to have any exposure to this world. He joined our team, he worked with us, and he's had the opportunity now to work with many major Silicon Valley brands. He's built up an amazing portfolio, and he's managing our whole team now of creatives, the video editors, the graphic designers, everything that comes from Frontlines. David oversees it and puts a stamp of approval on it. David's story is much like many other stories that we've seen at Global Talent Co. There is amazing talent overseas. This talent is just as good, if not better, than what you can find in local markets. And they are hungry and they are ready to go to work.
Let's talk a little bit about other talent. Are you focused exclusively on marketing right now?
So 100%. So I think we really believe, and that's where we're very much aligned on focus and good positioning. And, we don't want to do 100 different things and everything just meh. We just want to do a few things, but be the best in it. So we're 100% laser focused on marketing. And the reason is that's just the area that Brett and I know very well. I've been doing this. I've been one way or the other in the marketing space on the consumer side for the past 14 years. Brett has been on the marketing side from the B2B side for just about the same amount of time. So we're also very complementary. And, I always have this example of restaurants. Imagine you kind of want to have good sushi, and there's two different options. You can go to the restaurant that offers sushi, but that also offers burgers and, pizza and pasta and a doner kebab, because that's where I am in Berlin. or there's a place that just focuses on the best sushi in town, you know. Where do you really want to go? Where are you going to have the best sushi, and where are you going to have a food poisoning? So that's I think you know what we try to do. We try to be the place that really focuses on creating great sushi. We are a marketing platform, and there's a lot of compounding, you know, benefits from that. You know, the type of training that we can do. It's very focused on marketing folks. The you know. Just the conversations that we have also with the companies. We're not selling to different, or we're not talking to different stakeholders in the company. It's really CMO, at times the CEO, but that's it. And we can also kind of do a lot of sparring on, you know, the roles that they need, share best practices and how to integrate people. And we would be less able to do that if we would just do everything a bit.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. As someone whose husband does not eat sushi and I have to go to those restaurants all the time to get sushi, that really resonated with me. That was such a good metaphor. Okay, so laser focused on South African marketing talent. How do you find these people?
It's hard. I'll be honest. It's very, very hard. And not because there's not a lot of talent, but it's, you know, you kind of need to find the needles in the haystack almost. And, you know, I've realized that firsthand when we tried to hire for our own companies, you know, and, you know, especially if you don't have a team that knows the local environment, that knows, you know, what are the good, you know, it starts with kind of local knowledge. What are the good universities? What are the good companies? You know, which roles can I fill? Kind of recruit from the country. You know, there's, for instance, Amazon wasn't around in South Africa. So if I'm a US company and need someone who's kind of a really good Amazon marketplace person, South Africa is not a good place to hire because no one has been doing that for the past few years. You need to go to different places. But South Africa is an amazing place to hire for, you know, all things creative, brand, performance marketing, copy and content. You know, some of the best creative people in the world come from there. So you kind of need to know local markets. And let's face it, if you're a head of HR in London or New York, you have so many things going on your plate. You can't know the local market dynamics of each and every single other country. So I think it starts with that, understanding which roles to hire in which market. But then even if you know that, you know, you need to be kind of deeply embedded in the community, you know, and you need to create brand awareness, trust. There needs to be credibility. So I'll just give you another example. When we started in South Africa, people were like shocked that we would respond because there's, I think, over 50% of job postings I learned are actually scams. And maybe you can confirm that. But there's, you know, a lot of people who kind of go through a process and they're like, yes, please send some money now if you want to have that interview. So you know, all of that is happening. And that's why people don't really apply it to job listings. But having a trusted brand, having a trusted, you know, relationship, referrals has been our big thing. And you know, that's one of the reasons why we have, you know, this community of 25,000 plus people, and who trust us, who have trust between each other, and we provide a lot of additional value that costs us a lot of money, but we don't actually gain anything firsthand. You know, the podcast, the Slack community, the group, you know, the meetups. So that's basically for the people, you know, but it creates a lot of trust and into the brand and into us over the long term. And that's what makes, you know, what enables us to, you know, get access to the best talent and present them then to some of the clients and some of the good companies that we work with.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That level of relationship building, I think, is so important just because of the landscape in South Africa, as well as you touched on. The scams are a thing that we do have to contend with. And I think when, you know, folks are contacted by a company like the Global Talent Company, there may be a sense of, is this too good to be true? So on that note of being too good to be true, it is true. What are you offering talent? We have touched on this a little bit, but why should talent want to work with you?
Exactly. So we're really going big with examples here, but I think for the same reason that talent, you know, an aspiring youth footballer wants to play for Real Madrid. You know, you want to just associate yourself with the best people, And in our case, that also means that we, not only can provide amazing opportunities by matching talent with great companies in the US and Europe, but also by, giving hands-on support, as I said, so that they don't fail but succeed in the roles in the very beginning. The first few weeks are really the weeks that matter. And small mistakes can erode so much trust, especially when working remote. So kind of making sure that this doesn't happen, that they succeed in the roles, the sparing, the feedback, the nurturing. And then it's also easy things. I mean, we talked about scams in South Africa, but pay, we pay not only on time, but before time. People are like very thankful for the easy things, job security, and just having this great entry point into the tech market. I think sometimes it's those small things, like it's not that easy. If you apply from Nigeria or South Africa with Amazon, you're not even getting into the normal inbox. You're automatically getting relegated into another email inbox. But those companies have trust in us, and we can vouch for the talent, and they know that our selection process and the training is great. So that's why we provide also this entry point. And then obviously we do a lot on the benefits side. So we kind of provide a lot of benefits, be it kind of access to tools, technology. We talked about the upskilling and training. And I think those are all elements where, in combination, that's what resonates a lot with talent.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It's something that I really kind of, I've been lucky enough to land my current remote role. And there's a big part of me that is always kind of future planning, because I know how difficult it's going to be if it doesn't work out at my current company, or, tech is what it is. How am I going to find another one? Am I going to have to go back to working in South Africa? But now, with the global talent company, hopefully you guys will add me to the pool of talent should the worst come to pass. But it is really reassuring to know that there is that level of understanding that's happening, because as a candidate, you're not only having to vouch for yourself as a South African candidate, or a candidate from Argentina or Costa Rica. You're having to prove that South African education is good enough and that South African experience is good enough. And it is, but to have to fight that battle as well, even if you do get into the right inbox, is really, really hard from someone who has done it. So yeah, I thought that was worth adding. Okay. So back on the customer sides of things, what types of customers do you work with at the moment?
Yeah, it's so as I said, I think our clients are some of the most exciting tech companies in the world. So we obviously started out with the family and friends role. So we asked actually a lot of people for input, a lot of entrepreneurs. Just as many entrepreneurs came to us and said, how did you set this up for your own companies? Can we just replicate it, and can you help us and assist us? So it's been really a lot of inbound and referrals, which is amazing as well. And I think we realized for ourselves, we kind of built the perfect product for companies that are in this growth or, Series B upward stage. After the first 100 employees up to a few thousand. So we have companies that work with us who have 15, 20,000 employees and are happy to kind of, add the next few hundred or thousand with us. So that's amazing. So I would say if you're like a single entrepreneur just trying to kind of hustle, then as Brett said, maybe Upwork is the better path for you. But if you're in a growth stage and think about organizational structures and where to scale your team and where to get the next 50 hires from, that's the right point in time to kind of talk with us and our team. We do work with some of the most exciting and best tech companies in the world. And the reason why we do that is, one, because we're actually most excited with working with those types of companies. Life is short, so we want to only work with inspirational companies that make a difference. But number two is because we also owe it to our talents. They don't want to work for Joe's plumbing service in Minnesota, right? So they want to advance their careers. And that's, I think, what we owe to them. And so if you get into this community of Global Talent Co., then you can be rest assured that we'll match you with amazing opportunities.
I love that, and that's part of the appeal, right? Because there is a huge upward trajectory for for your candidates there as well. So we have talked about the kinds of customers that you work with. Why do the customers that you have worked with so far love you?
Well, I'll keep it short. Number one, access to talent. So we talked about that. So we kind of can provide them immediately with amazing talent. I think two, the speed. We don't need 6 months to get them the talent. We have already this pool of community. So if they need someone, we can get, an amazing shortlist in a few days for most positions. Number three is really the value proposition on the cost side. So they can not only get better talent than they would be able to hire locally, and not only quicker, but also cheaper. And then we take all the headaches around legal, admin, payroll away. So basically, I love businesses that are, no-brainers. If you have something that's better quality, cheaper, quicker, and you don't have to worry about it, like there's no reason not to do it. And I think that's how we try to position this.
Okay, I love that. Short and sweet. Okay, so we have talked a little bit about AI. I think someone touched on it initially, but what do you envision for AI? What role is AI going to play in the global talent company?
I mean, are you really even in tech if you're not already using AI? I think you have to be, and the Global Talent Co. is no exception. We have a lot of different AI initiatives that we're working on right now. I'm not going to talk about all of those. I'm just going to talk about one, and that's really our mindset. So let's talk about the saying that I'm sure everyone has heard, personalized or customized for the industry that they're in. And that saying is, a doctor is not going to be replaced by AI. A doctor who doesn't use AI is going to be replaced by one that does. We share this belief when it comes to marketing. If marketers aren't leveraging AI in their day-to-day, they're going to get left behind. So with the talent network that we have, all the candidates that we work with, that we take that as our job. It's our job to help them upskill and be prepared for all that's to come. So what we've built is we built out a course. It's about 8 hours long, very extensive, that really trains our talent in how to use AI in their day-to-day. And then what we've built out is an AI co-pilot. They can personalize it based on their own strengths, their weaknesses, their background, and then they input their job description, their responsibilities. And then that's a personalized chatbot that's running at all times. Anytime they have an issue, anytime they have a question, anytime they need someone to collaborate with, they can go back to that chatbot, interact with it, and use it. This is just one of many things to come, but this is one of the most impactful, really helping talent know that they can use AI in different ways in their day-to-day. That's what we're really focused on. And we're super, super excited about some of the other announcements that are going to come in the coming months.
I love that. I love the idea of AI as a co-pilot. I've heard people say that before, but it's just the way you framed that now really resonated with me. Thank you both for unpacking everything that we have discussed so far. I want to finish off by asking you both what excites you the most about the journey ahead.
Look, I think it sounds like I'm a 6-year-old now, but I'm at this point in my life where I really I'm not interested in just building another business. I'm interested in doing this with people that I really appreciate and that give me energy and that are positive, and doing something that's kind of net beneficial and has a positive impact. And I feel that Global Talent Co is kind of the opportunity to do that. If we can kind of create opportunities for talent, that's just gonna multiply, so to say, my level of excitement and joyness and gratitude. And I'll just give you an example. I had this, so the first few weeks I was going through most of the applications myself, and we have this video assessment tool. And we had this lady that was in her 40s that was interviewing for a sales role. And there were some language requirements, so that person needed to be like German and English speaking fluently, and it was hard to find. And we had this lady who kind of was in the middle of South Africa. I literally Googled the place. There was like 40 kilometers, nothing in the area, no supermarket, no nothing. And she did this video and she was like, hey guys, this is, the second time I'm trying the video. Something was not working with my microphone. Same that happened to me now at the podcasting studio. I actually drove today to the next city to, get another microphone. And now I'm reapplying to you with a video where the mic hopefully works. And I've been looking for a job for over a year. And that was, really, really, really almost heartbreaking for me. And I was like, we need to hire this person now, that much commitment. And if we can kind of provide her with a role. And we matched her a few days later with the role, and she was extremely happy. And obviously that's a very single case, and a lot more people have more opportunities. But if we can kind of multiply that, there's more stories. There's a few thousand more stories like that wait to be written. And if we can play our part in just helping people to write a handful of those, I think that's what success would look like for me.
Oh, I'm getting warm fuzzies now. That's such a nice story. I'm so glad you got her something. Okay, Brett, what is it for you? What are you most excited about?
I, of course, share Roman's excitement for the impact that we're going to have with talent, but I'll take a different approach here. I spend a lot of my time with CMOs, and a lot of these folks and a lot of their teams are just burnt out. They've been under-resourced for a very long time. They're stressed out. They're burnt out. I don't want to have them leave their marketing career behind and go work in HR or go work in sales. Like I want these people to stay in marketing. And to do that, they need relief. They need team members. They need bigger teams. They need more resources. And I view that as what we are providing. We're giving them a way to have more people without dramatically increasing their cost. And that's going to have just a massive impact on the lives of the CMOs and their marketing teams who are feeling this weight of the last few years of being forced to just do so much more with so much less.
Yeah, I love that. That makes so much sense. I've worked in many of those tiny teams that just don't have the resources that they need. So that sounds incredible to me. What is your vision for the company moving forward, Brett? Let's start with you.
We call it our 3-3-3-3-3 goal. And what that means is we want to place 3,333 candidates in full-time jobs before January 1st, 2027. So we have some work to do. We just crossed the 100 threshold, but we're very excited and we're very motivated as a team to execute and make this vision happen.
Amazing. Thank you both for this. It's been wonderful. I've loved learning more about you and more about the company, and I'm even more excited about working with you on the podcast. If you would like to learn more about the Global Talent Company, head over to their website. We will put it in the show notes and the caption and all of the accompanying media for this. If you're looking for your next role or you are looking to recruit some amazing South African talent, we can help you on both sides of the coin. Brett, Roman, thank you so much. It's been a delight.